for sponsoring this. You guys are great, and we had a briefing before, and we relied on Cheng Li's knowledge base quite a bit. It used to be said that you would learn more about China in Washington than in China. That's becoming less the case as China opens up. But in this area, it's particularly true that you still learn quite a bit about what is a very opaque process. In the middle of all of the foreign policy news, for example, this morning with regard to the Putin-Ahmadinejad visit, etc., everything going on in Iraq, I believe one of the biggest things happening in the world today, the Party Congress, etc., is not receiving enough attention. And to provide a basic knowledge base, etc., we wanted Cheng Li to come at exactly the right time because the China Working Group, Congressman Bustani and I, and Congressman Larson, we are all focused uniquely on China, which we regard as the most important relationship for the United States. Cheng Li is now at Brookings, and I think he's one of the clearest experts on what is happening with the leadership there. And without further ado, anything else you guys say? Okay.
Clearly, I guess the other issue you haven't mentioned was the issue with Myanmar and how China plays such a key role in that as we watch that unfold and how we deal with it. And so clearly your views on the leadership situation in China will have a role in that, Darfur and many other areas. So thank you. Yeah.
So without further ado, let me introduce the man that CNN, C-SPAN, BBC, VOA, A&E, History Channel, the News Hour, the Foreign Exchange, Free Zachariah, Australian Radio, NPR, Diane Rehm, and National Radio of Canada all rely on.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Congressman. I wish my mother were here. She will believe every word you said. Well, I'm honored to speak to such a distinguished audience. I want to applaud the Congressional U.S.-China Working Groups, the Committee of 100, and National Bureau of Asian Research for organizing this timely briefing. In my judgment, your three organizations have provided leadership and forward thinking in American studies of China. You are the three represents. Please forgive me for borrowing Jiang Zemin's famous line, three represents, 三个代表, three represents. Now, in the next 10 minutes or so, I will seek to address 4 questions. First, why is the 17th Party Congress is critically important? Second, how is the 17th Congress likely to choose Hu Jintao's successor? Third, who are the front runners in the race for Hu Jintao's successor? And fourth, what are the collective characteristics of the upcoming generation of Chinese leaders? Now, these are the questions of why, how, who, and what.
And what do they think about the United States?
Of course, that's the most important one. Now, I would like to start with an anecdote. In the middle of the Trans-Pacific flight, an aircraft pilot announces to the passengers that he has good news and bad news. The good news, he said, is that we are ahead of time. The bad news is we are lost. Now, this may be a good metaphor to describe present-day China. The country has had the fastest growing economy during the past 2 decades. But it seems to be lost concerning the political direction in which it is heading. China's political system has become increasingly inadequate for dealing with the complicated, sometimes contradictory needs of the Chinese economy and society. Now, coincidentally, the upcoming generation of leaders, the generation that will emerge in the national leadership at the 17th Party Congress in a few days, is mainly composed of the members of the so-called lost generation. These individuals were born in the 1950s, lost the opportunity for formal schooling due to the Cultural Revolution. And many of them were sent down from cities to the countryside to work as farmers for many years. Yet, many of these fifth-generation leaders made remarkable comebacks by entering college when the higher education system reopened in 1978. These experiences enabled them to put their professional and political careers back on track. Now, in their later 40s and early to middle 50s, they are on their way to the pinnacle of the power. Now, will this new generation of leaders have a better understanding of their fellow citizens' needs than previous leaders? Will this unique last generation of leaders who made drastic changes and dramatic comebacks in their own lives also find a bright future, a path to democracy for their country? How this generation of leaders will differ from their predecessors in terms of their domestic and foreign policies? Now, these pointed questions all show why the 17th Party Congress is critically important. I believe that this Party Congress is anticipated to have a large-scale leadership turnover, more so probably than the previous 2 or 3 Party Congresses, largely due to the mandatory retirement age. Chinese are obsessed with age requirement. Over 60% of the members of the Central Committee and about half of the Politburo members will be replaced. 60% of members of Central Committee, half of the Politburo members will be replaced. Among the current 8 members of the Politburo Standing Committee, the highest decision-making body, at least 4 leaders are expected to retire. Highly likely will be 5 out of 8 top leaders. Now, although the leadership of the State Council will not change until the 11th National People's Congress in March 2008, these top leaders, the candidates for top positions, will probably be decided in this Party Congress. 3 of the 4 current vice premiers and all 5 state councillors will be replaced. So almost except 1 vice premier and the premier Wen Jiabao, all other 9 people will be replaced. So in a way, China's leadership team in economic and financial administration, party discipline and organization, foreign affairs, military affairs, will largely consist of newcomers after the Party Congress. Next, let's look at how the 17th Party Congress is likely to choose Hu Jintao's successor, the second question. Now, the question on everyone's mind is, after who? The first is HU, the second is WHO, right? After who will lead China for the most part of the next decade and beyond? Now, there are 2 options by which this designated successor can be chosen. The first option is to select a single young leader in the so-called 5th generation, the core leader of the so-called 5th generation, to be a successor to Hu Jintao. This is the way Hu Jintao was chosen 15 years ago. The second option is to choose 2 or 3 or 4 rising stars from the age cohort and make them members of the Politburo or Standing Committee, depending on the size of the Standing Committee. They will then be waiting in line for succession to the top posts in the party and the state. At the 18th Party Congress in 2012, there will be an election within the party, Central Committee, then select the successor to Hu Jintao. Now, both options involve serious risk. The first one, if you designate one person, that person may not be accepted by the political establishment. The backlash could be overwhelming. They're so similar, the country leader. I interviewed China's leaders, in June during my visit. And they said, how could you say that Party Secretary A is better than Party Secretary B in the province, in one province than other? So they're so similar in terms of credentials and etc. So you probably cannot designate one. But if you choose 2 or 3 or 4, basically you will open door for factional politics. Political lobbies will start, in my view, already started. Heard of so many rumors. But these rumors, some of them actually deliberately leaked by these politicians for their campaigns for various reasons. Now, but the Chinese Communist Party have never used to this kind of competition or open political system. So it's a, hi, Congressman? Yes, yeah. So it's really a serious dilemma. I would say Hu Jintao is going to face the second most important challenge in his career. The first one was SARS in 2003, and he did very well. Although at that time he was very vulnerable, he did not have much experience, his power was very weak, but he emerged on the occasion, became very successful, accepted by people. But now, the second challenge, if there's something wrong with succession, he will be the person to blame, no one else. That will severely undermine his legacy, his achievement, and create some kind of crisis moment. So that's the issue he faces now. Now, the good news for Hu Jintao is that regardless of what mechanism the top leaders use to select his possible successor, his own proteges are well poised to rise to the top national leadership. This leads me to the third question: who are the front runners in the race? I think, in my judgment, the following 5 leaders in the 5th generation are the front runners. First is Liaoning Party Secretary Li Keqiang. The second is Jiangsu Party Secretary Li Yuancao. I have the article somewhere, it distributed to Lis in China. The third is the Chongqing Party Secretary Wang Yang. These 3 all belong to Hu Jintao's faction, Chinese Communist Youth League, known as Tuanpai. The other 2, one is the Party Secretary of Shanghai, Xi Jinping, and